I'm OW Root, and this is Pleasant Peninsula. It's about 18 degrees right now. Wind chill is about 2. It's no fire. Wind's too strong. It's not going to happen. It's hopeless. It's frigid out here. Last night it was rough. It was rough up here. It was 30-mile-per-hour winds, 45-mile-per-hour gusts. A little cooler, I think maybe around 13, 14, 15, but with a wind chill in the negatives. I mean, maybe negative 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. I don't remember exactly, but the point is, it was cold. Standing there at the front window in the living room, looking out, I watched the snow blowing, just being whipped across the road. You know, that light snow, the snow that comes down when it's really cold, and it's just like dust. It's not these huge thick flakes. It's just like sand. When you see that strong wind in the winter at night or in the day, it looks like a sandstorm. It's like a white sandstorm. That's a fascinating thing too, the sort of parallel between the tundra, and we don't live in the tundra officially, right? But between the tundra and the desert. Some sort of parallel there. Different, the same. But I was standing there, I was looking out the window, and you could hear the wind rumbling. Not even howling, just rumbling. And the HVAC system turned on in our house. And it was warm and it was cozy. And I felt great. And I thought about this dichotomy, this extreme dichotomy. And you only get it really in the deep north. You don't get it in the south and in the middle of the country, where the temperature and the weather is so cold outside, so unforgiving, so merciless, that you die, without a doubt, without shelter, fire, or the correct clothes. You can't really last that long out in weather like that without those right things, those 3 things. And it's not like that in lots of other places in America, really. The majority of America is not like that. This is an extreme thing. It's almost otherworldly. It's like on another planet or something. In that dichotomy where you're standing by the window, and just a thin piece of glass like this separates you from those elements, from that world that wants to kill you, essentially. And you can be right next to that glass. You can be completely cozy, completely warm, and it can actually feel good sitting there in that space on the edge of death. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not really. I'm just speaking more poetically about it. That's a fascinating thing. That's an interesting experience. And there's a lot to think about there. I mean, there's this philosophical idea about conquering space. I don't mean space up in the sky. I mean conquering space, moving out and living in territories that are very difficult to live in, yet living comfortably there. There's something about the modern world as well. I know that there's a lot of stuff to bemoan or lament about modern technological advancement. AI, that's a good example. I think about that a lot as someone who creates things for a living. But there's a lot of good things about the modern world too. The modern world didn't start 3 years ago. It's older than that. Having a modern house, one where I can stand in my living room, look out the tundra, feel cozy and feel warm, and know that the heat is going to keep running, and the insulation is going to keep working, and I'm not going to die. That's a nice thing about the modern world, and I'm thankful for that. Remember the phone? The real phone, not the iPhone, the real bona fide phone. The phone that screws into the wall next to your refrigerator. It has that curly cord that's all tangled and knotted down on the ground. Trip over it. The one that sits next to the couch in the living room. You can never get any privacy with it, but you pull it as far as you can. You stretch that curly cord so it's totally straight into the other room, just so you can try to get a little bit of privacy. The one that you picked up when you were a kid in high school, and you had to call up a girl that you wanted to see, and then you had to talk to her dad or her mom, God forbid, pure bone-chilling experience. Rings, hello? Oh gosh. And then you have to say, hi, are they home? And then they might connect you and all of that. That's the landline. That's the real phone. Cell phone's not a real phone. Landline's a real phone. And I've thought about the landline a lot because it's a really interesting thing. The initial feeling that we have is landline's outdated. We have better phones now. We have iPhones now. We can carry them with us everywhere. We can be reached at all times. It's more convenient. It achieves the same thing that the landline achieves, and then plus some. It gives us better communication. To some degree, it's true. To some degree, those things are true. But to some degree, it's not true about the better communication. In theory, like I said, these phones should have resulted in more communication, better communication, but they've almost done somewhat of the obvious, or the opposite to a certain degree. And I think about young people. There's this problem of young people who cannot talk on the phone. They cannot leave voicemails. They're terrified to talk on the phone. I mean, this is a real thing. I'm not making this up. Gen Z, many are terrified of talking on the phone. They can only text. They get crippling social anxiety when they see that phone ringing. They don't even know how to leave voicemails. I've talked to people who've had to teach them to leave voicemails. And this is obviously related to the mobile phone, which became the mobile computer, and it really stopped being the mobile phone anymore. Now it's just a mobile computer, so they just text back and forth. And if you're never talking on the phone to anyone, you don't know how to talk on the phone to anyone. And that actually creates social problems. It creates difficulties. It's a hindrance. And you can't talk on the phone because you still have to talk on the phone to people. Because talking on the phone is also related to talking to people in real life. I don't think it's a surprise that in our day and age, one where people feel isolated, where people feel alone, where people feel socially distant, yet always connected via the internet, this is also the era where we don't have that landline. We don't have the having to talk on the phone. We don't have the having to call up the girl you want to see and talking to their parents. We don't have the lack of privacy. To a certain degree, having too much privacy at too young of an age is bad for you. And that's what the mobile phones, turned into mobile computers, have done. It's a really interesting thing. So I really do believe that landlines, the real phones, they're good for teaching people how to speak on the phone, to talk on the phone, because you have to. And I have a landline, and I see my own kids talking to their grandparents on it, and they have a hard time doing it at first because they don't know what to say in a certain sense. But you get better and you get better and you get better. And that leads to better communication skills. It's fascinating. And you can get a real landline. It's not hard to do. You can't get a real bona fide one with the wires on the wall, but you can get one that hooks up to your modem. And it's actually great because it's a stationary phone in one spot where it's a phone for one purpose and you have to talk right there. And it's also fun. The truth is, like I said, there's these benefits to communication when it comes to kids and learning, but it's also fun. Our phones are so boring. The iPhone, it's the black little brick. It's this slick little brick. It's kind of uninteresting. All phones are like that. All smartphones are like this. With the landline, you can get a retro phone from 1985, 1965. You can get a rotary thing. You can get one from 2001. You can get one from the 90s, the 70s. You can get all these weird pastel ones. Those ones from the 50s with the rotaries. Or you can get the ones that feel like Home Alone. You can just buy them on eBay for $20, $15. You can go to Goodwill. There's a ton. And so it's actually kind of interesting. There's this fun aspect to the landline where it's almost like if you're into interior design, you should be into landlines, because the iPhone is the least interesting thing aesthetically to have in your home. But that landline can really add something, and it's fun. And it's really fun to talk on it too. I mean, the thing is, when you're holding that little iPhone, you have to squeeze with your hands like this. It's pressed against your face. It's making you sweat. It's just this flat, slick screen. It kind of stinks. It's kind of lame, to be honest. When you hold on to the receiver end of a real phone, grab it onto that bulbous end like this, talking like this, slamming it down, hanging up. I mean, you can't really slam down an iPhone. You just beep when you're mad. If you're mad, you go whack, clang. Satisfying, puts an end to it. It's like the judge smacking the gavel. I'm kind of joking, be a little fun, but I'm serious. In a certain way, returning to the landline is returning to more fun, more aesthetic enjoyment. And it gives you a phone that's one that the only purpose is to talk on it. That's kind of nice when we're constantly on our phones in our pocket. It's nice to have something else, somewhere else. You just go there if you want to talk on the phone. The landline needs to make a comeback, without a question. I'm O.W. Root for Michigan Enjoyer.